Are we live? We're live. All right, I'll go change. Oh, wait, I need to. We're live, and I forgot to do the. All right, everybody, we're coming soon, coming soon. Okay, we are live. What's that?
I said spin.
Spin. Oh shoot, I forgot we're doing Fridays now. That's okay, Spin, because tomorrow at our regular time, I'll go on and remind everybody that we're doing Fridays. And I don't know, hang out for 30 minutes and talk to whoever shows up. So, yeah, we're doing Fridays. And yeah, you know, not expecting a huge turnout, but I will go tomorrow and just kind of announce to people that we're changing our time, everybody. So, new Pac time, same Pac channel. And yeah, so I guess, I don't know, Bobby, host.
Well, we're going to talk about, we're going to continue doing woods, but I think we should start the discussion off with composing in public and composing.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
How challenging that can be when you have.
Yeah. For
Because
sure.
it's such a personal thing, right?
Well, and so two things. Hey, hello, Playboy Pika. Nice that you're here. Thank you for joining us. So just one thing, Bobby. For some reason, I don't have the ability to switch into the video, or maybe you made the video just full screen, because we should be in discussion mode, I guess. No? I don't know why. Now it's not working for me, but...
Okay. No, I didn't make, I mean...
Are we, because I'm looking at the stream and it's just me only, so.
So then maybe you want to change, maybe you have to close your Stream Deck app.
But like, for example, like you can see right now, if I go to this view, you'll see the Pac-Man in the upper hand corner, and then I go to video and it's gone. So just, I don't know what happened, but I know you have like a way of controlling it from there. So if you want to be in discussion mode, but
Yeah, no.
it's weird, right?
So, let me ask you, are you certain your OBS says video? You're in the video source?
I'm looking at it right now, yeah. So,
Okay, so
for example, this is face cam, this is video.
Okay, so if I hang out, any difference?
No, still says video, but still just me. So, and this seems to happen when we, I don't know, it's happened a couple times before. So, more Pac-Man World 2 comparison. Actually, no, today I'm going to be composing a little bit. And we're going to be talking about, hey, Super Starman. Hello, Mr. Starman. Yeah, no, today's going to be more composing. There we are. Hello, Bobby. So you know what so to begin this conversation, what I thought we would do, and by the way, I should also go into the video, because I realized we don't have our Pac-Man in the video, and I remember we had to do that manually last time. So I'm going to just quickly switch back and forth. All right, well, that's working. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the, because we're back on Pac-Man detail here, Stream Deck feature, and I'm going to copy, what am I copying here? I'm copying the Pac-Man logo, and then I'll go back to the VDO, and then what do I got to do here? I got to go, oh gosh, I forgot how to do this now. I totally forgot how, is it just as simple as this? Oh my goodness, how stupid do I feel right now? All right, well, here we are. So I thought maybe we would start off with our conversation about what you were telling me about programmers when you're asked to code in front of someone, because I think it really explains very well the problem. So why don't you start with that, and then I'll pick it up from.
Whenever you're telling code stuff, and if you have code or whatever, you have a couple mistakes here and there, but whenever somebody comes to watch you type, mistakes are just like every other part.
Every other thing you do is a mistake, yeah.
Right, and it's the idea of feeling, being watched and knowing that you're being watched.
Right.
Fundamentally changes.
So this phenomenon is not unique to composing Pac-Man music in front of other people.
Right.
Anyway,
yeah, we changes people.
Yeah, and so I guess, this is what we're starting. Oh yes, I love sax. Thank you for Bobby got that up for us. So I'm glad you enjoyed that, the sax video. That was fun. Yeah. Perhaps you should really listen to the entire soundtrack. It's all been uploaded to YouTube for comparison. Yeah, no, Playboy, I have it all. I downloaded everything from Re-Pac, and I have it all, and it's all ready to go, and we can do comparisons for sure. But I think, what we planned, at least for this session, was to pick up what we started a month ago or 2 weeks ago, and just do some composing. For sure, like maybe next week, for example, we could just do comparisons. That would be fine with me. Maybe we...
Pac-Man composing.
Say again?
Not just, we are Pac-Man composing.
Today, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Today we are. So I was just saying, but for next week, maybe, what Playboy's saying about, we could do comparisons next week, for example. Or continue on. Well, let's see what we get done tonight. Right. So let's see how far do we get. And so I guess Bobby's...
We're not composing in public. We're composing with people.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think it affects you the most? How, is it just the creativity part? Is it the technical part? Is it a little bit of everything?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I guess, like me always, being authentic, I have to sort of really, be very honest about it. So I think it's a couple of things. I think one of them is...
Hey, David, let me interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
I don't know if the stream can hear me. So
Oh.
if anybody in the stream can hear me.
Oh,
then,
let's see. Hold on. Let me check that. Say something.
I don't know if this
Yeah.
people on the stream can hear me.
I think so. Guys, can you hear Bobby? I mean, I see the signal coming through. Oh, you know what? It might be being picked up from my mic. Let me check on that. Hold on. It could be that. And so I can check on that by... Yeah, I think that's what happened. Say something again.
I still don't know if the people on the stream can hear me.
But now we're getting W. See, this has to do with what happened with... See, I hear you twice now.
Sound source.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Spin
Well,
says he can
I hear
me.
you too. You're way louder, they're saying. All right, let me turn you down. How about this, guys? Check 1, 2, Bobby.
Well, let's see if this works out better.
Is that better, guys? I hope. Yeah, I see exactly why that is. It's a weird thing about Zoom, and it might have to do with the whole pass-through thing. Okay, good. We're good. Everybody's saying we're good. We're getting there. Excellent.
I can. Oh, you know what?
What?
Hang on. I know the problem.
Do you?
If you recall, I jacked up the gain yesterday in our meeting.
Okay.
So I will
Turn that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, so look, to answer the question though, I think that they're saying it's a little bit quiet on the quiet side. So anyway, I turned you up over here. Okay. So just say check 1, 2, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure now everything should be back to normal, at least close.
Yeah. Are we good, everybody? I hope so. If not,
let me just
sounds good now. They're saying it sounds good now.
Okay.
Cool.
So the question was,
right,
when composing in front of others,
right,
where is the hurdle for you?
Right.
Is it,
so,
are you the
right,
idea,
and,
the technical, or what?
Yeah, no. So to give the audience a little bit of context to this is, I also teach composition, right? And so in those classes, I have to compose in front of my students, right? Whenever I do that, I just sort of resort to formulaic composition. So basically, stuff I've done a million times, I know how to do it with my eyes closed. Pac-Man World 2 is not that. Pac-Man World 2 is like my whole David Logan went in there, you know what I mean? And I came out with, on the other end, what I believe to be a very original sounding, unique soundtrack. So Bedouin Woods, by far, is in the best 3 pieces in Pac-Man World 2, in my opinion, right? So I would actually, so like Spooky, I think, is at the top, right? And maybe just the Pond or Bare Basics, just because that's like sort of the what becomes the leitmotif. And then Bedouin Woods, So to come up with a sequel to that, there's a lot of pressure, right? And so there's also pressure, not on purpose pressure, but pressure that I feel from our lovely, lovely audience and people who are watching and following, because they're tuning in to be like, oh, he's going to compose Bedouin Woods Part 2. So then I feel this massive weight on my shoulders, a giant Pac-Man yellow weight on my shoulders, and I have to perform. And so, I think it's a couple things. I haven't composed like that in a very long time. Most of the game projects that I've done, since doing AAA stuff, you can do very formulaic kinds of stuff. I mean, not on Reign of Titans. That was actually really nothing formulaic about the Reign of Titans. That was a really good soundtrack. For those that don't know, that's the live orchestral music that I recorded with a real orchestra here in Europe, 1.5 2 years ago. Anyway, you can go. It's on our page, right? I think it's on our.
And it's also on Spotify. And
it's also on Spotify, okay. But the video, I think, it might not be on the David A. Logan music channel, though. I think it's just on Orb Soundworks. But anyway, you can find it. It's not hard to find. So actually, with my link tree, nice segue. Woohoo! You can find everything. And by the way, beautiful, lovely, and wonderful people who are here, if you can just do me a solid, man. Please share my link with all your friends. Yeah, I mean, sure, Playboy. I'm right there with you, man. Please be perfectly honest, by the way. But, the OG is, I mean, everybody agrees the original soundtrack is just objectively, measurably better. It is, in every way. So I agree with you 100%. You should try using a library that you never used in World 2. Voices of Istanbul is a fantastic library. Still is, like 30 years later. Okay, but let's get back to the question Bobby's asking, because I think it's important. So, yeah, I feel this massive weight on my shoulders, right? And there's nothing formulaic about Pac-Man World 2 music, right? There's no formula you can follow. You can't trace its roots either and be like, well, that's just from a Mozart sonata, and well, that's just from a Beethoven symphony. Like, you can't really, it's just its own thing, man.
right.
And so I suppose the other part, so one part is the pressure I feel. The other part is the ego, and the fear of my own ego not succeeding. Like, oh, what if I can't do it? What if I can't please our wonderful fans who are here? And remembered, we're on Friday. And by the way, tomorrow night at our 7 o'clock regular time, I will be around for 30 minutes to just let all the people that forgot, who are going to show up and expect us to be there, I'll be there just to say, hey, by the way, we have a new time. So yeah, I think that's it. That it's like there's this sort of fear that I have this expectation to live up to. So my ego gets involved, and then that creates fear. So what happened? Say again?
And fear
Yeah, exactly. A perfect example of, Fear consumes passion. There it is, right on my arm. So now let me tell the people here what happened. So maybe a day or two later, after our Bedoing Woods, Re-Pac the Right Way, if you will, or recomposition, if you will, I came across it and I was like, oh, right, that thing, yeah. I opened it up because I was just like, was it any good? Because you also have to understand, on a stream, you're sort of like, you're partly being an entertainer, right? Like part of what I'm doing here is entertaining our wonderful audience, right? So I was like, was it any good? And I opened it up and I was just like, yeah, that's certainly not bad. And then I started to play around. I started noodling with the piano. And then I was just like, ooh, this is so tempting. And then I did da-da-da, da-da-da. Guys, I love you. You guys know I love you, right? You know that, right? I mean, all of you know that, right? But I cheated on you. I wrote some Bedoing Woods while you guys were not here. But I still love you all. So I just wrote a couple little things, and I didn't want to go too far with it. So I just wrote a couple of sketches. Trix, the mic sounds weird today because this is a new mic. It's a wireless mic. So what I'll do right now, in fact, I'll switch my mic because we must please the people.
Are both mics on?
Say again?
Were both mics on?
That's a good question. I didn't even check, man. Man, I swear, we're professionals they're both on. That's the point. That's why. All right, so let me do this. Let me turn, thank you, Bobby. Check 1, 2. Is this better, by the way, Triax? Is this sounding better? No. Don't be sorry, please. Listen, Triax, don't be sorry, because if there is something that's not optimized, I want to know about it. Okay, it's better. Good. Woohoo. Cool. So that thank you. See, Triax, don't worry because you made the stream better, right? Now Triax is an executive producer of our stream because he, right? He's like, oh, is it me or is something sounding a little funny? So, all right. So shall we listen to what I did? And by the way, what I did was I composed a few little lines, not too much, because I thought, don't go too far with this because you gotta do this for the fans. But the point is, there's a few ideas that I did privately. And the thing is, you have a different relationship with your musical self when you're alone. This is why performing is so difficult. Doing a Rachmaninoff piano concerto is such a hard thing because you're like, you gotta be there. You gotta be on point. As I mentioned, both Bobby and I we're entertaining a little bit here, right? We're trying to make the crowd feel a part of the stream. We're trying to make an interesting conversation, etc. Right? So, so do you guys want to hear what I did while I was on my own? And should we start doing this? We're going to do this now, and I'll show you, and we'll have a listen, okay? So first thing we'll do is we'll switch this over. Right. We'll switch this over, and we'll go into Logic. And away we go. So here we are in Logic, and I'll do this so you guys can also still, hi, I'm here. Okay, so let's do this. First of all, let's listen. I'm going to solo the piano, and let's just listen to what we have what I was doing while on the stream, okay? Right, that was just getting, right, that was this. Right, so this was done on the stream, and it was like, okay, this is fine, no problem. Okay, that was also done on the stream. And this is where it becomes foggy. I don't recall if this was done on the stream or not. Maybe it was. Then this. Okay. Even that part I just played? Maybe yes. And then for sure these next ones, not that. Okay, okay. So this was done privately. Then I did this. Nice. I'm glad you like the bass line. And then I did this. So now here is yeah, maybe. So now here's the big problem, guys, is that now I got to make sense out of all of this, you know? Question is, do you ever write themes away from the game visuals, or do you always need footage art to compose? It's a great question, Jasmine, and I guess the way I'd answer that is the more visual stimulation I get, the better the outcome, okay? So yeah, it's best to have the whole game in front of me. But for example, I've worked on game projects where all they had was concept art, and they wanted to kind of build up the game also with the music in mind, so that the music would be there as they're making the game, because the music could influence what would happen to the game. So I just send some simple concept art, you know, just even sketch drawings. But if I get that plus a game design document and you know, and have a couple of meetings with the producer, then yeah, I have no problem. I can work just as well either way. Because Jasmine,
What about writing to a brief?
Say again. Sorry, go ahead.
What about writing to a brief? I hate that.
Writing to a brief. Yeah, I hate that too. I'm with you. So this is more in the world of television and advertising. There's what's called a brief, and it's usually written by a producer or executive producer on a project, and they're like, you know, we imagine this TV commercial to be the following thing. And, you know, I once, I'm not even joking. You can't make this up. This is how ridiculous ad executives are who work at ad agencies. I'm not even joking. It was a TV commercial for Holiday Inn, which is an American chain of hotels. And it was a family that all had flutes for noses. I'm not making this up. And I'm not making this up. And so they all like were sad because they couldn't find somewhere to stay. And so they all were talking back and forth with their nose flutes. Instead of a nose, you've got a flute. There was no visual, but I'm not making this up. I'm literally not even making this up. And it was the weirdest thing. And then, you know, I had a meeting with the executives and they're like, so you just have to imagine it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And so we've got this family, right? And they can't find anywhere to stay. And wouldn't you know, they all, instead of having noses, they have flutes instead. And here's cut to David Logan in the brief, trying not to laugh. Ready? This was my facial expression. Okay, yeah, okay. So like you're saying that like they don't actually have noses, but instead they have flutes. Am I getting that right? You know, and then, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it, David. You get it. Ad people are the most ridiculous human beings on planet Earth, because they actually think that their commercial is going to make humanity better. They think their commercials are like going to change the world. It's the most ridiculous thing. Anyway. Hey, Spin, you do know the new rule, right? You're not allowed to even type Pac-Man World 3 on my stream, okay? I'm just saying. We've been down that road. We don't want to talk about it, okay? Anyway, I'm playing, obviously. I'm just playing with you.
Chaboo, hello.
Yeah, no, the brief was just ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Right. And I tried to keep a straight face. So
was the commercial ever made?
Say again?
Was the commercial ever made?
I don't know. I don't care. You know, I mean, I got paid the demo fee. And typically they pay you a demo fee. And then they're usually talking with 10 other composers, right? And then they sort of get the 10 ideas. They'll pick the top 3 and then have those 3 do another round. And then from that sort of pick the winner. And, you know, I've won bids. I mean, the biggest bid I ever won was Marion Jones commercial for Nike in the 2004 Summer Olympics. It's like the pretty much the top, and I won that one. And so, you know, I take these briefs very, very seriously. And the idea for that Nike Scary House is what it's called. By the way, someone else took credit for it, but it was me. It was all me. It really still upsets me and still hurts to this very day, but whatever, that's a whole other story. Anyway, it was a great premise. I'm not going to go into that. Let's get back to Pac-Man composing. So anyway, well, look, you know, composing for slot games, first of all, you know, it's a very lucrative part of the game industry, okay? So it's a really good cash cow, number one. Number two, the people who work in slot games are actually really quite creative. If you look at the Orb Soundworks on our, I think on our YouTube, we have a casino slots demo reel, which showcases all of our work we've done in that area. And the thing is, I mean, if you look at the art style on some of them, they're fantastic. You know, they're not hacks. And I really like it because creatively they allow you to just do almost anything, you know. And the other thing I like about casino slot writing, they're open to ideas. They're very receptive to ideas, right? And so if they have an art style and they're asking you to do something, you're allowed to say, you know what, I was thinking, like, but what if we did this instead, you know? And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then, like, what if you made the samurai warriors like robots instead of human samurais, you know, because that could then trigger the music, whatever. Now, if you did that like on a Hollywood film or TV series, like, you would be fired, you know. The art director would be like, who the fucking hell do you think you are to suggest something? I am the artist. I am the art department. You're the composer. If you ever do that again, that's it. You're going to be blacklisted. Like, it's true, man. You never do that. Like, if you're in Hollywood and you're working on a project, you don't ever tell the editor how to cut the film. Even if it's for good intentions. Like, hey, you know what? If you cut that 2 seconds earlier, then the music would work a little bit better, I think. Because then, you see, politically, what happens is the director and producer then look at the editor like the editor doesn't know what they're doing. You understand? And that's very risky. And that's why people get very angry if you're a composer and you're talking to the editor. It's like, none of your business how I edit. Shut up and write the music. Now, that's the thing I love about the whole game industry. Everybody's open, very open-minded and willing to take suggestions. But we digress. Let's get into some writing. Let's see if I can take this now and turn this into something, I hope. All right, so the big problem... Yeah, sorry, tell me.
No, I said good luck.
Oh, thank you. So the big problem, let's start with the big problem. The big problem is, I'm not sure... First of all, this samba, the Dal Samba, is so unbelievably big. It's just massive sounding. And guess what? It's taking up so much space in the mix that it's like ridiculous. So, guess what we're gonna do, everyone? We're gonna go back to the roots. So, as much as I love this, right? These are the snare drums I added to beef up the Dal Samba. Okay, as much as I love all of this stuff that I added, we're gonna mute everything and we're just gonna go with the very, very basic Dal Samba. I think this is a really good idea, and maybe one sordo. So this is essentially all the percussion that was in the original after Dal Samba, of course. So Hey, Wandy Superfan is now one of the people. That's awesome. Thank you, Wandy. Thank you for subscribing and all the other things. I really appreciate it, man. Like so much more than you know. So really, really thank you so much for that. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do here. We're literally gonna take all the new samba, okay, and we're gonna mute it all. We're just gonna mute everything. We'll close these off. Actually, you know what I should have done? That would have been way, way smarter. I swear, guys, I am a professional. I swear it. I should have just done this, where I just take everything and mute the bus. All right. So we're going to close this off for right now. And what this allows us to do then is, you know, we can now sort of blend a few things, right? So we're going to go to where these kalimbas begin, okay? And now I mark the position on the console over here, and then I can just... So then the next thing we can do is take the classic Pac-Man pipes that we used on just about every area, no? So, for example, I'll open up, oh, that's the wrong thing. Let's open up, what do we want to open up here? I want to go into my, this is my, I call it my offline template. So this is where I store everything. So we'll go to the AAA Games Library, Pac-Man World 2. We'll go to the wins, Pac-Man pipes, and there we go. There's everything. The African hunting pipe, the pan pipes, the bandy, the 1080 pipes. It's all here, guys. All the original pipes. And that's right, Spin. You know it. Those are the real ones. So let's go with the hunting pipe. And then let's just call this what it is. And let's see, here we go. Hunting pipe 1. We'll give that a name. And then we can just simply drag this up there into the hunting pipe. And of course, I know Spin Music and probably everybody else likes to actually see this contact window, which actually features the instrument. Okay, so there it is. Now, all Pac-Man pipes were layered with other Pac-Man pipes. So let's do the African pipe 1E. This is from the Heart of Africa disc. Okay, so we have our basic thing. And you know what, guys? When I listen to this, being very honest, I just sort of feel like I'm just copying myself. I don't really feel like it's really new, fresh, and original. I don't. But the key was using the same instruments. That was the challenge, right? So I got to really kind of think about this now, and how am I going to compositionally... Now I'm putting the pressure on now. Let's go ahead over here. Okay, let's start with that. Let's use the bass that I originally used, which is the John Patitucci bass. And let's take that. I'm going to use the same exact bass. Let's go over here to bar 29. I don't know why that happened, but I think it's the velocity programming. No. Oh, there it is. Yep. This is a bad it's a bad translation. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want to split hairs, I'm going to simply replace this with another bass. Okay. So because this bass got translated very, very badly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my, over here to guitars, go to bass, and then choose the Trillion upright. By the way, this is the same player as the bass that I just played you. Same player, John Patitucci. Okay, there we go. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go to velocities, and I'm going to do velocity limiting here. So I'm going to take the velocities. Oh, sorry, guys, you can't see my screen. Sorry about that. So sorry. I'm going to limit the velocities and then bring them down. And maybe I'll lengthen just a little bit, make this bass note a little bit longer. So let's try the staccato just to see. Ooh, nice. And we're going to lengthen these. They're a little bit on the short side. All right, this is working. I'm going to maybe try a little bit of a stronger velocity. You know, I mean, let's see what else we can throw at it. So for example, you know, I didn't use a whole hell of a lot of guitars on Pac-Man World 2, but no rule that says we can't do that, right? Well, let's see. Did I use any percussion?
Was there a reason?
Say again?
Was there a reason that you didn't gravitate towards guitars?
Well, here's all the guitars that were used, and there's actually none. I didn't use a single guitar on Pac-Man World 2. So, I mean, at least not according to what I'm looking at over here. Let's actually look in the library, and then I'll tell you more accurately if I did or didn't. And if I did, we'll use one. And if I didn't, well, I don't know. I'll have to choose something from,
And still use one.
you know, something that hopefully works. So let's go to the Pac-Man 2 library, Pac-Man World 2 library. Let's go to guitars and bass. And no, I did not use a single guitar, not one. I'm looking at the library right now. Now, I did use a banjo, so that's fair game. Anyway, look, it's not even the point. Like, you know, you can't force yourself into a hole. And what I mean by that is, you know, what I want, the texture I want here, even though it was not in Bedouin Woods per se, I'm the composer. I'm allowed to, you know, add if I feel it will, you know, make the track overall better. But if I'm being a purist, which I know some of you are, we would then only be able to use instruments on Bedouin Woods. So let's do that. Let's try the bass. Instead. Now, here's a big problem already is the velocities are a little, I'm going to just stagger them a little bit so they're a little bit different each time. Okay, let's listen. So then probably what I would do immediately after that, and by the way, let's also get this line somewhere into one of these kalimbas or marimbas. So now it's feeling very Pac-Man-y. I hope that it is feeling that way. So Spin, the Hood Boom is, I believe that's the Marcus Miller bass that was on Bass Legends. So it's an electric bass, basically. That's what it was. And I think it was the Marcus Miller, if I'm not mistaken. So, or Abe Laboriel, one of those two. It was not John Patitucci, that's for sure. Sounds like a lost track. I'm crying. Thank you, Andy. I mean, I don't want you to cry, but I'm thanking you that you think it sounds like a lost, or sorry, that it sounds a lot like a Pac-Man World 2 song. That's my dyslexic brain turning the word a lot into lost. All right, anyway. Let's try marimba instead. All right, so I think this will come down an octave. Okay. The other thing I might do, ooh, those are out of tune, like terribly. All right, the other thing I'm gonna do is just turn the volume up a little bit. I'm also gonna give the correct names to everything so that we can see the correct names. I'll deal with the coloring, the color coding later. It's good. So then, compositionally, what I would do is in the next part, I might go up by a perfect fourth. So, oh, I forgot to select everything. Let's do that. I forgot this guy up here. Didn't get selected. So let's do that. Why is it not? Oh, I think I know why. Because I didn't do select all. There we go. Oh. Wow, that was not expected. Again, some things got lost. The piano, poor piano, got left behind. So let's bring the piano back. So, we can't have a Bedoing Woods Part 2 without the amazing brass. Am I right, guys? Right? We got to put that brass in there, right? We got to do those, right? Hey, look at that Spin. You and I in lockstep. You can already imagine the brass as I was pulling up the brass. How amazing is that? Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, well, for sure, it was important. So let's bring it in, man. No? What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to bring in the brass from the AAA. I'm going to do the contact version because they're a lot more stable. I'm moving out of the EXS24. So there we go. There they are. All of the correct. So we're going to get the sax. And again, we can also look at the nice little art I did. Oh yeah. So, and we can start with the sax and then just copy and paste. Yes, super brass section, exactly right. So, let's do maybe we'll do something a little more rhythmic this time around. See, that didn't work at all. Now this is where things, well, okay, it's Jasmine, you're asking the right questions. So does it come exactly the perfect question? Is it melody, harmony, texture, or emotional intention? you're going to hate my answer, but it's a little bit of everything. And there's not any real consensus as to how composers compose. So what I've got here is I'm going from the G up to the C. So from the 1 chord to the 5 chord. In my brain, this is called harmonic rhythm, the rhythm at which you change your chords. So the harmonic rhythm for my idea doesn't work. So I have to now do something more like. Okay, so a couple things I have to do here. I have to identify where am I going from here. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm going to B flat, which is the absolutely wrong note to have on a G major chord, which this whole idea is in G major. So then I go. Now these are what are called appoggiaturas. Okay, it's an Italian word that means to lean. So we're still in G. We're just going. But the thing is, the whole shape of the chord is moving. So it's a real problem. It's a compositional problem that I've created for myself. And I don't know how to solve it. And this is where I start to feel the pressure. I start to feel the anxiety. I start to feel like a fake and a fraud and a phony. And I'm sure there's people who think I am. I actually know of one who used to come on this stream who thinks I am, but I won't mention his name because that wouldn't be nice. Okay, but regardless, I guess let's try. Okay, so that is a perfectly valid solution to a real problem, okay? So first of all, let's listen. So the issue is that we can't rhythmically match what's happening, all that rhythmic activity, because we are literally just, you know, it doesn't have the attack. Now, I can switch though. I can switch the attacks, and I think it's worth doing. Let's do that. We're going to switch attacks now, and I'm going to show you what I mean by switching attacks. We're going to change the amount of pressure and the tone that the saxophone will produce. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to make a copy of the sax. And by the way, let's get the name. This is Saxwell 100, in case you want to track down super brass section and grab this sound. We're going to go over here and we're going to go into the Pac-Man World 2 library to brass, R&B. And guess what? I have not actually transferred those because I never used them. So this is just going to not have the Pac-Man logo on it, but that's okay, right guys? You're going to live. So I'm going to go down here to my go-to. This is like my sort of everything library that I have. And there it is, super brass right at the top. So we're going to go ahead and grab the shot stereo. So this is going to be a short attack. So now we're going to get a nice short attack. I'm going to pull that reverb off. So let's get that in there. No? There we go, right in there. I'm such a terrible musician. Guys, remember, there's a big difference between being a musician and being a composer. Not the same thing. Terrible musician, not a fake composer, I don't think. Whoa. done wrong here? Okay. And we're a little bit behind the beat, it feels like, these, especially these guys. Feel a little behind, so I'm going to just put them forward. It's really strange. Something's weird in there. But before we go crazy on that, let's do the following. Let's start adding the other parts of the horn section, the trombones and the trumpets, yeah? So generally, I usually put the trumpets up on top. So we have our sax swell here. So let's close that off. Let's grab ourselves because when possible, we always want that Pac-Man World 2 logo on there. So we'll go into the brass, go into the R&B brass, and we'll grab, oh right, no, I'm right, I'm correct. The trumpet swell 100, there we go. And that we can also give the correct name, always staying organized. Why does it say that? It shouldn't. Okay, so we're gonna take that and put it there. And now we have, and for now, let's just double this up. Now I could, for example, I could change some of the voicings. So like going up an octave would be too much. Maybe. Yeah, too much. But for example, we could take this F and put it up one octave. So we would get, so we're spacing it out a little bit, right? Then, for example, down here, we will go ahead and load up the trombone 100. Again, these are all the original sounds that were used on Bedoing Woods, just so you guys know, okay? And we'll do something similar here. So I'm gonna move this maybe up one octave as well. Now, oh, you hear that little clicking? Oh, maybe not. Oh yeah, it's there. There's a little clicking sound, and we can fix that by just moving the attack curve by literally 1 millisecond or 2, and then it'll go away. Just want to see, can I get away with an octave on the bottom? I can. That's good. And then let's try. Okay, this is working. Let's listen to all three. Now, this is very important to my process. Again, I'll just switch views here so you can follow. So for example, this is where the trumpet is, this is the saxophone, and that's the trombone. And by the way, let's put the correct label on the trombone. And that way I can see it nice on the mixer over here. And what am I gonna do? I'm gonna now work with, I'm gonna just get the blend, because the blend is extremely important on this, okay? So I'm gonna get the trombone is here, sax is here, trumpet here. So I'll probably start with the trombone. Probably just loop from 29 to 31. And that should sound a little bit closer to like the blend I had on the original soundtrack. I can visualize Pac-Man bouncing on Bedoings. Hey, that's great. Yeah, I mean, Jasmine, it's a wonderful, wonderful. Oh, Twitch is acting up? Oh, sorry about that, guys, but out of my control anyway. Jasmine, it's a great question. So here's the thing. Again, it's going to be a very disappointing answer, but I don't believe there's any such thing as writer's block, except if you're composing on a live stream. Then, then maybe there can be a little bit of a writer's block. But no, I really believe this. I think that professional writers don't have time for writer's block. And so I think that every problem can be overcome. And it's just a matter of how long. And that's why it's more difficult when you're on a live stream, right? Because on a live stream, you know, again, I have to be entertaining. I've got to, you know, keep the pace going, the flow going. I'm so sorry about the Twitch, you guys. Just switch over to YouTube if you want. Maybe, Bobby, you can just pop in the link in the chat if that's okay. Sure. So Jasmine, I don't get stuck creatively. Now, this is going to sound terrible, but I really believe that artists use writer's block as a way to justify procrastination and laziness. And by the way, being lazy is not a bad thing as an artist. You can be lazy, you can procrastinate. And sorry, did you say something?
Yeah, I said the laziness is part of giving your brain the time to.
That's right, exactly right.
And be creative on its own without you forcing it in.
100% correct, Bobby. So yeah, Bobby's saying that basically laziness is a part of the process. That's why it's okay to be laziness. What's not okay is to justify forward motion. So in other words, too much of a good thing. No, it's nice being lazy because you can lounge around the house all day in your slippers, but too much laziness is not a good thing because then you don't make any progress as an artist. So, you know, I am a very lazy person and I do procrastinate, but guess what? I also never miss deadlines, you know? And the thing that's tricky about this stream, in fact, is that I can't feel like it's work. I can't view this as a deadline, right? This has to be enjoyable and fun. Otherwise, what's the point, right? You know, the whole point is we're trying to have some fun here. So it's a tricky little balancing act, I suppose. Sorry if that's not a very good answer, but okay. But I'll tell you what. Here's what I'll tell you, Jasmine. You can do little exercises. For example, like, yeah, if you don't know. If you don't know, like, kind of what's your next move, let's say. Here, I'll bring the piano up so you can follow along here. So here we are, right? And then I'm not sure what am I going to do next. So for example, I can just say to myself, David Logan, I am forcing you to now go into the most unfriendly key to where you are. And I'm going to force you a tritone away. And that is going to put me in D flat. Now, right? So the question then becomes, am I going to do D flat minor? I mean, that's a terrible place to go. So then forcing myself to go there, that chord, I could then say, for example, well, maybe I can do something, let's see. So I could then do a 2-5-1 perhaps. So you see what I've done here? I literally just picked a chord, any chord you want. And then oh, sorry, I'm not, let me switch over here. So if for those who, you know, understand a little piano, right? So I'm in the key of G, here we are, yeah? Now here's the big problem with what I did is it just doesn't sound right, doesn't sound correct. So I've got to figure out a way to keep those same horn instruments. But as far as like what would I compose next? So for example, if we come out of this, this is something I do a lot. Okay, Jasmine. What I do a lot is because I don't want to mess anything up, sometimes I'll take this and just copy it and put it over here and then just work on it over here. So now I'm forced to use this chord. And I'm screwed. Really screwed. Oh! I got it! There it is. So the trick worked because I said I've screwed myself. And then I was desperately searching for another chord. That what could I do? Still keeping the shape of the D flat minor, which is so not sympathetic at all to the key that I'm in. And then I said, all right, well, I'll just make it this 7th chord. And then I'm like, and then I accidentally did that, right? So, and then I did. So I'm just messing around by forcing myself to another key. So let's see, what did I like the best here? And the thing is, tonally I'm ambiguous. I'm actually not, I'm more in the D flat major. So there it is. And now I'm truly staying in the correct key, or the one I forced myself, which was the minor. This is good. I better remember this. What do I do when I'm afraid I won't remember? I slow the tempo down so I don't mess it up. I already did it. I forgot it. Good news is I can always roll back on the stream and then try and remember what it was. I totally messed it up, guys. I forgot what I did. So let's rewind here. I don't think that was it. The other thing I'm missing is this. Anyway, Jasmine, I think this gives you enough of an idea of like kind of a good way to get yourself out of stuck something. Let's do a couple things here. Let me record this riff. Okay, that's one thing I want to remember, and I don't know where or how this is going to work into anything that I'm doing at this point, and it might not even work. But the point is, we're going to mark it, and this can help me if I am stuck, get out of my being stuck. Yeah. So then. Oh yeah. Let's get that in before I forget. messed that one up, but I kind of got it also. So here it is. I just messed up with those notes there. But this, a whole bunch of ideas came, and I stayed in the minor. Okay? Now let's just crank the tempo up and listen to see how does it sound at our normal tempo. So far, it's working. Bum, 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 ba-dum. I mean, damn, no? So we got something like really decent. So that's precisely what I do. And the point is, man, there's a bunch of really solid themes in here. Lots of very good material that we can work with. And by the way, when I'm working alone, a lot of this, the process gets done a lot faster. Like doing this on the stream is I'm also trying to explain things as I go. So it might feel like we're sort of crawling along at a snail's pace, like, oh, Logan, you only did 2 bars of music. Well, if you want, we can also next week, well, let's do some comparisons, but the week after, if someone reminds me, we could do a silent stream where literally no one talks and I just work. If you want, and then you'll literally see the process uninterrupted. That is a possibility. Do we want to vote? Anybody want to vote? So, Bobby, I mean, you're the first one to vote.
Well, it brings up something that I wanted to ask you, or just kind of talk about. The idea that, I forgot, it was some famous poet, I want to say Frost or somebody like that, or maybe it was Edgar Allan Poe, that we tend to believe that the genius writer or composer or whatever goes into the studio and just sits there and composes and writes whatever, and it all comes out at the same time. But poetry, composing, writing, anything is a process, right? It's the you have something one day, the next morning you can come back to it and be like, ooh, that's
there
just
you go.
not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the right word, the word process, right? So art is a process. And yeah, sometimes you can just step into the studio and, garbage comes out. But if you say, this sucks, and you turn around and you walk out, you're not doing the process anymore because the failure is part of the process. Artists fail more than they succeed. Really. I mean, actually, if you think about, soccer players, they every time they try, they fail pretty much. And they might get one goal in a whole season, but they fail every other time, right? We're not talking about Messi, Ronaldo, Beckham, or Maradona. But, this is blasphemy, but I don't really like the Harry Potter theme at all. I don't think it's one of John Williams' great bangers. I just don't like it. What can I tell you, man? I don't especially like the Dune soundtrack either. Sorry, I just don't, man. You can hate me. Go ahead. I'm a sort of classic Indiana Jones and Star Wars kind of guy, But I'm also North by Northwest and Psycho and Dial M for Murder and all those great Bernard Herrmann Hitchcock collaborations, right? I mean, those are just some of the greatest film scores ever. So, and you're going to probably all say, who's your favorite game composer? And the most egotistical answer you can expect, which is, I am my favorite. Well, it's because I don't spend time listening to what other people do. It's why I just really have no interest in hearing Pac-Man World 3. Oops, I said it on stream. I broke my own rule, damn it. But here's the point, I suppose. The process is all part of it, and you fail more than you succeed, and this is the point. Now, I will say that sometimes, you know, like I remember this interview with Leonard Cohen, and if you don't know who he is, he's a Canadian singer-songwriter and poet, and he wrote one of the most iconic songs in all of music ever, which is Hallelujah, right? Hallelujah, hallelujah, right? So like this is like just everybody knows that song, no? And he was being interviewed, like, you know, how do you come up with a song like that? Like Hallelujah or, you know, Suzanne or, you know, some of his great classic songs. And he said, I enter into a state of grace. Like said it like just like, you mean you don't know? And the interviewer just was like, well, what does that mean exactly? Entering into a state of grace. He's just like, it's just going into a state of grace where you feel something higher than yourself is working through you. And many artists will describe this process. And I think in my greatest soundtracks I've ever done, that happens. I enter a state of grace where something else takes over. All my inhibitions are thrown out the window, which doesn't happen here. Because like I said, there's the pressure of you guys, the fans, no?
Right.
So it's hard to enter into a state of grace. You can only do that when you're deeply alone and there's nobody there and nobody's watching you. And we go back full circle, right? To what Bobby said about, you know, a programmer that's being watched will make more mistakes than a programmer not being watched, right? And, you know, this is a phenomenon that's now been proven in physics, right? With light particles, right? So the physical attributes of an object can actually change at the subatomic particle level, okay? When a light is shined on it. It actually can change. So me looking at someone can actually possibly change them. And it's what Bobby's describing about when somebody watches you being programmed. Now, it's obviously not light particles that's making you make those mistakes. It's the pressure, right? So I don't know. I think we're kind of getting to that point, aren't we, Bobby, where we can probably wrap this up. And
questions, any comments we can take?
yeah, let's go to the comments and questions and see if we missed any. Guys, sorry, I don't always follow the chat because I'm trying to write music and whatnot. So if you did have a question that did not get answered, please do ask me again and I'll answer it right now. But let's just kind of backtrack. Yes, too much of a good thing will definitely screw you. Good trick, yep. Again, those shakers, I love those shakers. Your percussion sounds are nice to hear. Thank you, Spin, as always. Thank you so much for your kind words. I always appreciate hearing that. And all the percussion, I mean, those are uniquely, that's my world. That's where I live as a drummer and percussionist. It sounds a bit aggressive, like a boss theme. Okay, is that a bad thing, Wendy? I hope not. I hope I didn't drive you away from the stream. TBF, I love how it is. You're going to realize what a Gen Xer I am right now. What does the TBF mean? To be frank?
Yeah.
To be frank, is that what it means? Probably.
To be fair.
Yeah, I'm not up to speed on all the cool lingo that the cool kids use. I'm a Gen Xer, man. I was born in 1969. I'm a dinosaur, you understand? In the 60s. The tail end of the 60s, but still. I like how these streams are structured. Well, thank you, Spin. I mean, that's great, because Bobby and I, you know, after every stream, we have a little quick discussion after, and we sort of check in with each other, like, how do we think is the stream going? Where do we think the streams are good? And, you know, I'll spot check, you know, once the streams are live and on YouTube or on Twitch. And I'll just sort of see, like, you know, how's the content coming, you know? Because we want to provide something that can bring all the fans together in one place and celebrate the great music, and that you guys have access to me, the guy who wrote that music, right? And you can literally ask me anything you want. And Spin, by the way, don't be shy, man. You want to know other libraries I'm using? Just ask Spin and you shall receive, okay? To be fair. To be frank, to be fair. Okay, I gotcha. No. It's like the Inkies theme. I love it. Okay, cool. Don't forget, guys. Don't forget. Where is it? Oh, wrong button. There it is. And by the way, let's see how many. Oh, there it is. Woohoo! Look at that. Isn't that great? Look at that. Just to remind everybody. Because when you see the credits, by the way, when you see the credits on Pac-Man World 2 Re-Pac, basically all these people get credit before I do. There's like 3 Japanese dudes that all get credit for doing the music in that game. And then way at the very, 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 very bottom, at the very, very end, music and sound design, David Logan music, So I remind you all, just saying, collect your orb points, and then you too can get the emote. So there it is, guys.
Full credit, or does it say original music by?
I don't remember. It's literally exactly what they wrote in this. They literally just copied. So whatever it says here, music and sound design, David Logan Music Incorporated. So they literally just copy paste from the booklet, and that's exactly what they did. So so whatever, man. That's why, don't forget, okay? I'm just saying. I'll try to email you at some point about the libraries, actually. Well, Spin, you know what? Look, I mean, that is something I would prefer not to go into over an email, but I'd love to talk about it on the stream, right? Because the point is, like, if you email me and I answer all your questions, all right, that's fine. But what about all the other people that want to know the answer to what libraries did I specifically use? I think at this point, though, and I've told everybody everything. So, in fact, I'll just give you a quick overview. Heart of Africa, Heart of Asia, Distorted Reality, 1 and 2, Base Legends, Super Brass Section, of course, my own customized, personalized percussion and drums, like the Dal Samba, my Dal Asteroid Dal, what did I call it? Dal Asteroid, whatever, and then the one on steroids. Oh, I mean, Jasmine, you're just asking me these great questions. They're fantastic. I really like these questions. The answer, again, could be disappointing, but it is the truth. This is where formulae, just relying on a formula. Something I've done from the past, and maybe I change it up a little bit, and I might use more like improved sounds, for example. So if I did it 10 years ago, now I have a better string library, so I'll use that. If I used a certain chord progression, I might repeat the progression, but do a completely different melody. I might make my modulations different. So when I go from one key to another key, okay.
Isn't that exactly why somebody would hire you? To say to themselves, this guy's been doing it for 30 something years. I don't have to worry about him getting right block and getting stuck because he has a bag full of things he can pull out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the reasons that professionals get hired. Look, in the casino world, like, I mean, I've written literally over my career, mind you, like hundreds of them, and each one has to be different from the last, Sometimes it's like 70s funk, sometimes it's 80s disco, sometimes it's 90s grunge, sometimes it's old swing and big band, like Vegas style or New York style. You know, sometimes it's the Great American Songbook, right? Like the Gershwins and Cole Porter, etc. You know, and then you guys want to hear Knight Rider? This is a more recent one where they wanted something that sounded like Knight Rider, which if you know Knight Rider, you'll hopefully this will put a smile on your face. But let me just go over here to this window and I'll play this for you. I mean, look, I'll play you through a couple of them, you know. And so I guess, look, to answer the question of Jasmine, it's relying on your formulae. Like, just get it done, you know. Don't think too hard about it, and just do what is being asked of you. So let's see, where is it? I think it's over here. Here it is. You ready? Are you guys ready for this? Can you handle this? The David Hasselhoff Knight Rider. The most cheesy 80s you can get. All right, it's coming right at you. So 80s, it's got 80s dripping on top of it. Now, Jasmine, I'll say this, for a track like that where they want the 80s Knight Rider thing, I'm less being a composer, much less, hardly composing. That is where I'm being a music producer, right? Like if you listen to those drums in particular, that is like bang on for the 80s. Everything about it, the processing. Right? The Moog synthesizer with the arpeggiator. Yeah, it's bleeding 80s everywhere. Hey, we got a congratulations from Restream for 100 messages today. It doesn't really count, you know, because probably half of the messages are like this, you know. So that doesn't count. Well, it said that I received. Anyway. Yeah, cheesy 80s, man. You know how much cheesy 80s I've had to do, you know? So, Jasmine, the answer is I rely on formulae. It's that simple, you know? You don't know how many of these 80s tracks have I done, you know? Like, 80s is so popular right now. And not just for, like, you know, casino games, but for other kinds of games.
80s kids have grown up and they want their childhood back.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Just like our 2000s kids have grown up and want their Pac-Man World 2 back. Right. Right. So it's like a big full circle, everything, no? So like, but you see, then you get certain games where, you know, they want like an original style. And listen, I played this last time, right? This got rejected on one of the projects, right? And we said it's very Pac-Man-y. Right? Like that's totally Pac-Man. But that got rejected, completely rejected. So, you know, like there's so many different requests, and I suppose this is why it's important, I think, you know, especially for people that want to become composers. Actually, Bobby and I were talking about this just yesterday, in fact. This idea that composers can go in one of two directions. There's the direction that I took, which was like, you know, jack of all trades and master of none. Well, except for Pac-Man music, I'm a master of that. But other than that, I'm a master of none. And then you can just do your own thing, you know. And the example I gave to Bobby was like John Bryan, who, you know, was really popular in the 90s and had this totally distinctive, unique sound. And so, and then you can specialize and then you'll get called, but only to do that. So the point is your net doesn't get cast as wide as far as financially how much money you can make by doing this job, right? But that's fine. You artistically will be a lot more satisfied and you'll be a lot more honest. I mean, let's be honest. Did I really compose that Knight Rider 80s thing? Did I really write that? No, I didn't compose one note. It's just my recollection of like that show being on TV, you know. And it was just my recollection of the 80s. And it was my knowledge of producing over the years, and also knowing my history, knowing what year the TR-707 was released in versus the TR-909 versus the 808. Like, what year did these all come out? So by the time Knight Rider was on, they would have had the TR-707 drum machine. Probably, maybe off by maximum 1 or 2 years in either direction, but you would have had the Roland TR-707, would have been out, right? Anything after 86, you'll get the TR-909, and after 82, I believe 82 was the year for the famous 808, right? So, did I really compose that? No, you know, now, did I, compose something like this? Yes, I did. What the hell is that even? So strange. So, like, for this track, they sort of cited the Danny Elfman thing. And so, yeah, I took a few little ideas from Danny Elfman, but then I made it mine, really mine, with those very strange, almost like sound effects, yeah? So, Jasmine, you sort of go, in and out of different phases in your composing life, and you sort of take a lot of ideas from other composers. And then eventually, after you're done with them, you throw them away, because you don't need them anymore. Go ahead.
At what point in your career were you able to, did you have enough in your bag to be able to just pull it out?
I mean, it's a good question. I'll tell you when, precisely when, actually. The exact moment is when you stop listening to other people's music and you stop using it as references. Now, I always use a reference. If a client says they want something Danny Elfman, I'll, whatever, listen. But again, like I remember the movie Mars Attacks, but so this was sort of like, right? This was like my take on my memory of that film and my taking in of Danny Elfman. But I did not go listen to the soundtrack and download it and analyze it and then compose. But the point is, when I was a student of composition, yes, I did. Very much so. I ripped apart every composer. And look, if you look at the soundtrack of Draconis Cult of the Worm. This is it was a Sega Dreamcast game. It was one of the first, actually it was literally the second or third soundtrack I ever did in my career. And I'm still taking ideas, stealing ideas from Dmitri Shostakovich, specifically from his 8th Symphony for some of the combat tracks. That's a full-on, I mean, I don't know if I would call that a AAA game, but, it was a full, console, flagship release. Actually, you guys know Treyarch Games? It was their first game ever that they made, and I had the honor of writing the music for that. So, yeah, you have enough in your bag when you stop stealing from other composers. And that is something that happens when you're young and you're a student of composition. And then, yeah, at a certain point, I guess, and I'll be really honest here. I think one of my first, really original soundtracks was probably Pitfall 3D, Asteroids, and Pac-Man World 2. You cannot trace any of those soundtracks to any other composers. Now, that excludes the cutscenes, mind you. because the cutscenes on Asteroids and Pitfall 3D are fairly John Williams-y. Bum bum ba da da dum da da dum da dee dum ba da da dum. Right? It's like a very woo march, Indiana Jones, because it's Pitfall Harry, right? That's based on Indiana Jones kind of thing. So, but the in-game music, but then all of it ended with Pac-Man World 2. That's where really, like, there was just nothing in those. Well, I guess in the second cutscene in Pac-Man World 2, I sort of do a little bit of the Grieg, oh gosh, he wasn't Icelandic, but he was like a Nordic composer, and I definitely quote, one of his tracks. But all the in-game stuff, I mean, you guys can tell me, you're here, right? So I think it sounds original and fresh. So basically, when you stop stealing from other people and you don't need to go listen for ideas, that's when. Now, as I mentioned, if a client makes a reference and I've never heard the music before, or I'm not familiar with it, that's when, So for example, if they say, we want, death metal from Kazakhstan, it's like, I don't know that, So I will listen to the references, yeah. But, when a client says, oh, we're sort of thinking something like Mars Attacks, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love that. That was a great movie. Super funny. The way they talk, it was so funny. And then the Americans release the doves, and then that's what begins the war, right? Because for them, the dove is a symbol of war. And then the Americans send a nuclear bomb to blow up their ship. I always remember this. And then one of the guys jumps out of the ship, grabs the nuclear bomb, and eats it. And then, I don't know, whatever has indigestion or farts or whatever it was. I can't remember. It was such a funny movie, man. It was an A-B movie. In other words, they were making fun of the B movies of the 1950s, but with Jack Nicholson and, I think Nicole Kidman, wasn't she in that? I don't remember. Anyway. I just remember The Martians, but I remembered for sure Jack Nicholson was in it, right? And he's at the top of the A-list, and well, not so much anymore, but in the 90s for sure. All right, guys. Well, Dreamcast mentioned, yeah, that's how far I go back, man. What do you make of a game theme, or what do you think makes a game theme iconic and unforgettable? This is going to sound really strange, but history is what does it. So yeah. I literally never in a million years dreamed we would be here talking about Pac-Man World 2 25 years after I did it, right? I never thought of it. And so I think it's history. Because look, think about it like this. Why is it that 300 years later, we remember some composers like, Bach or Mozart or Beethoven, but we don't remember some of the other great composers because their music wasn't iconic. What makes classical music classical is the fact that it stands the test of time. I truly believe that the Beatles are absolutely icons and will be for the next 10,000 years because their music is just that good. And they're that good as musicians and as a band, and they were a unit, a really good one, As amazing as Led Zeppelin is, I don't think they'll be remembered in 10,000 years. I think they'll be remembered as being a derivative band, because they literally took everything from Lightning Hopkins and Muddy Waters and, Robert Johnson and, the like, B.B. King. So what made you decide that you wanted to become a composer, or who? Okay, that is an intense and deep story. I'll tell you the very quick version, though. Okay, so first of all, I'm dyslexic, have a reading comprehension disorder. I have major depression, or I don't know what they're calling it these days, clinical depression, major depression. I have anxiety. And I, failed the 3rd grade, 6th grade, 9th grade. I didn't graduate high school till I was 21 years old, right? So basically I was a dummy in school, non-academic mind. And literally, I suck at everything. I'm not good at anything, you guys, outside of music and maybe streaming and teaching and sharing ideas and being expressive in how I exchange ideas, you know. So, you know, I think, but that all came after having a career, you understand? I was never a teacher. I never taught music when I was doing Pac-Man World 2 or X-Men or, you know, Heroes Over Europe, any of that. Like, I was just a composer, right? So teaching came after because I felt like I really wanted to help young composers and give back to my community, for example. So literally the short answer is I just suck at everything. And the only way I was going to be able to make any money was, you know, through music, somehow through music. And, you know, I also had a very strange, let's just say different upbringing, I'll say, you know. And so I guess I'm trying to think of the best way of saying this without, you know, sounding strange or whatever. But like, I guess I didn't have a safety net is what I'm saying. Like there was no one there to catch me if I fell. And so, you know, if I fell, I had to pick myself up. And that fear alone was enough to literally scare the living crap out of me and made me work literally harder than anyone else that I knew at Berkeley when I was a student at Berkeley, you know. It's funny because I got an email from a student who found this stream and then he emailed me or Facebooked me and he says, you know what, David, I still remember a story that you told us years ago about your work ethic at Berkeley. And the story is, and this is a true story, the security guard, I was always in the library. Remember there's no internet back then? Doesn't exist. No email. Doesn't exist, right? So if you wanted access to knowledge, you had to go to the library. So I went to the Berkeley Library. I was always the last one to leave every night. After the librarian left, they didn't even tell me to go because the security guard comes in and then drags you out, basically. And he was oh, thank you so much, Jasmine, oh, you're going to make me cry. Thank you for saying that. It's always nice when somebody says that. Thank you so much, Jasmine. But here's the thing, right? The story is that every single night, 7 days a week, this guy was kicking me out. And so, you know, one night I just said, hey man, what's your name? You know, and he tells me his name, and his name was O'Neill, and he was really, really, really nice. And, you know, he's from Dorchester, which is a really, really rough part of Boston, the wrong side of the tracks. But he was just like the salt of the earth, but he was also, oh, he was so strange. Anyway, we became, you know, over time, good friends, you know, and it went slowly, gradually, and we built trust. And so literally, he would like say, all right, listen, man, you know, I'm not supposed to do this. You have to sit here and I'll just let you stay. But only this light can stay on. And I'm like, dude, thank you. And so I stayed. Sometimes he would get off his shift at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'd be there to 3 o'clock. And then he'd just walk by. There was a back emergency door. It was all glass. And, you know, he'd just knock on it. It was an emergency exit, so only security could access it. And he'd just be like, and I'd be like, all right, man. And then I'd pack up and and then he'd meet me around the front and, you know, kind of smuggle me out and whatever it was. He was so cool, man. And you know, I'll tell you something. This is for everybody. Doesn't matter what business you're in. It's always about relationships. I addressed his humanity as a person, you know, that society largely ignored, you know, from Dorchester, Massachusetts, really rough, not like it's the ghetto of Boston, essentially, which is this, you know, racist, segregated city, always was. It's basically a black part of the city. And, you know, he was black and I'm from Toronto. Nobody gives a crap what your race is in Toronto. You grow up with everybody. So I just saw him as a person, you know, like, I mean, in other words, I grew up, my first girlfriend was black. I mean, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, we really don't care in Toronto what you are. And so I just talked to him like a regular person, whereas a lot of society wouldn't talk to him as a regular person. And because I addressed his humanity and I asked him his name and we sort of developed a friendship, he's one of the reasons I succeeded as well as I did at Berklee, because I got after hours access to the Berklee Library, which, by the way, is an unbelievably amazing music library of everything, right? So it's about relationships. It's about, you know, the relationships and the bonds, human bonds that you build with people. This can help to determine your success. And it did, because I graduated magna cum laude from Berklee, man, that's not an easy thing to do. And it was in thanks part to him. You understand? He was part of the reason, because I was able to sit there until 3 o'clock in the morning and I didn't have to do the stupid thing and, you know, fill out the form and, you know, get the book and I just like literally no request slip. And, you know, I just go and I pick it up and I remember where I put it, because I take the other book right beside it and pull it out. So that nothing was out of place, because the librarian the next day would be like, where are they? You know, because then it ruins the whole thing. And then I fuck him over, because then he gets fired, right? So trust, right? Very important thing. So anyway, Jasmine, thank you so much for saying that. I don't think I am an iconic composer. I think I hold my own in the composition department. I think that I am a moderately successful composer, I would describe myself as, but I would never describe anything I do as like genius level. Maybe some of my rhythm stuff, you know, maybe is kind of like extra cool, extra spicy, but I don't, you know, I'm not a, you know, I studied all my music theory, but then I spent a lot of time forgetting it because, you know, it impedes you in a lot of ways. Bobby and I also talked about that the other day, you know, that sometimes it can just get in the way of your natural music, you know? So, yeah, I think that I, you know, like, don't get me wrong, like, I get really pumped by some of the music I write. And the reason I get pumped is that I have, and it doesn't seem like this, but I have very low self-esteem. I've always had very low self-esteem. And so I get pumped because I'm like, oh my God, I don't suck at everything. Oh my God, I'm not complete garbage. You know, like I was made to feel my whole life by just about everybody. So that's why sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's not that I'm full of myself. It's that my self-esteem is so low that I have to sort of do something to hang on and to survive, really, like emotional survival. It's very, very difficult for artists that went through any kind of trauma in their life, which I did, you know. So, yeah, I mean, this is like real talk here. Authentic, real talk. Here we go. Here we're going to do the, there it is. Bing, 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 bing. Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, be authentic. I'm always saying it, so... Anyway, I think we can, oh, thank you. I know what you're saying, absolutely not to, but I still would disagree with you on this, Jasmine. I am nothing special, trust me. I mean, I think as a person, I think I'm, you know, I like to think that I'm a good person, and I wasn't always a good person, you know. I used to be really not a very good person, in fact. Not that I was intentionally bad to anybody, but I was just blind, you know, emotionally blind. And many artists are, right? They're self-obsessed, they're narcissistic, they're in their own bubble world, right? And then they ignore everyone around them and then, or treat them badly, not by design, but by neglect. So I was not always a good person. And so, and by the way, you know, with Bobby, you know, who's one of the partners in Orb, you know, every now and then I'll do a check-in with him and just be like, hey man, everything good? Are we good? You know, everything's solid? You know, is there any issues? And that comes from years and years of, you know, fucking up really important relationships in my life, you know. So guys, I guess the lesson in all of this, be authentic, man. Be who you are. Don't don't go changing to try and please me. I love you just the way you are, to quote Billy Joel, right? What a great song, what a great lyric. So just be who you are. Take pleasure in the small things in life. Write music. And the most important thing, develop human bonds. That's what you need, man. Human bonds. And I think that we live in a very sad, sometimes very dangerous period of history. I really believe this because human bonds are now breaking down, right? 80% of social interactions are behind a screen now. We now have the term second voice. You guys know what that is, right? Second voice. You put on your favorite podcast, maybe me in the background, and while you're doing your dishes and, doing other stuff. That's called second voice, right? So make human bonds. You know what you guys should do? Contact each other. Actually, I'm so sorry because somebody once said to me, you should check your Discord and there's some stuff there and we posted something, and maybe what we need to do is get that Discord to be a little more active, and I'll take part in that. Maybe Bobby, I'm kind of destroyed right now, so I got to sign off for the night in a second, but find a purposeful life, like I say at the end of every stream, precisely. But let's do this, guys, as a community here. Let's spend a little more time on the Discord. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's build up some human bonds, yes? And you never know, like maybe one year if I'm a millionaire, which, I'm going to stay positive about that. But one day if I am a millionaire, anything, exactly. If you stay positive, anything can happen. So, maybe I'll fly you all out here to Italy and we'll do a live stream in like a ballroom or something, you never know. Guys, go into the Discord. Do we have that handy, by the way, Bobby, the Discord address?
You know what's weird is...
Or we can get it for the next time. We can do it for the next time. But guys, look, tonight, believe it or not, I feel a closer bond to you guys as a collective group, right? Spin Music is here. He's coming every week. Jasmine's here, coming every week. Miles is coming every week. Who else is on the regular here?
Everybody. Everyone. Superstar.
There's a lot of people here. A lot of people who are coming on the regular and staying active in the chat. And that's awesome, you guys. So I feel more connected to you guys. And I feel more purposeful. That hopefully I can say, "Aw, Wendy." Yeah, I forgot to say, Wendy, I love you too. Don't tell my girlfriend I said that, though, because she's going to get really jealous, like seriously jealous. Wendy, you better hide because she's going to get really jealous. So, but listen, I love my fans. And, somebody once commented in the YouTube, like, it's amazing that you love your fans this much. And I do, guys, like, I feel that somehow I made a very small difference in the lives of you guys. So one of the best comments I read was, thank you so much, David, for making this incredible soundtrack. It brings back all the memories of my mom and I, playing Pac-Man World 2 together when I was a kid. You know how good that makes me feel? Like, that makes me feel I have some purpose and some value to society, right? So I love you guys back, man, like for real. So let's do some Discord talking then. I guess, Bobby, like, I can probably I'll open up the Discord right now. In fact, it'll only take a second, yeah? Mm-hmm. Let me open up the Discord right now. I'm going to go, and I don't know if we do the Orb Soundworks or we do the David Logan Music Discord. There's both.
Do the David Logan.
Yeah, probably. Okay. So let me pull it up right now, and then I'm not sure precisely how I'm going to share the screen.
That up itself. I have it open also, but.
Well, anyway, I'm just downloading it now. But yes, let's keep the conversation going, guys. And by the way, please be patient. Be patient, okay? Look, the other alternative is we can, have a conversation in the comments of a YouTube video. I mean, we could do that, no? Because that would probably be a better place to do this. But let's see here. I've got this in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look here at the David Logan Music Twitch. And then there's the general. And then, I'm not sure how to do this. How do I copy?
Right click on the David Logan Music.
On the icon?
If you right click, I think you get an invite to channel.
All right, let me go here and I'll right click. Hold on a second. There's invite people.
Right to channel.
There's just invite people, and then it gives me, or send an invite link to a friend. There we go. Thank you, Bobby. It's a good thing Bobby was able to point that out because he is like the Orb Soundworks technical director. So yeah, here it is, guys. There's the Discord right there. I'll keep it open. I'll try to keep it open more often, and feel free, come on the server. We can keep I see Spin is already there with a conversation. And it's fantastic. Spin is keeping the conversation going. Eric is there. You know what? I'll post a link. I found this wonderful, there's a couple of YouTube videos where a guy does these reviews of synths that were like, he's like the JV1080, which is the Pac pipes, by the way, the Pac pipes, right? He's like the most used synthesizer in game music. It's fantastic. I'll try and find that. It was the JV 3080 or 1080, I forget which one, but it has the Pac pipes, the Roland Pac pipes, which are different from the African pipe and the hunting pipe. I'll try and throw some of those things in there, and I'm going to put my link tree in there until you guys all subscribe, and please, again, please help me spread my link around, help me get my album out there. And yeah, man, I'll try to spend a little more time, but be patient. If I don't, if I don't reply right away, just be patient, all right? But I am on my phone. I'll turn on my notifications and fire up Discord, so at least I'll get your notifications, okay? But just be patient with me because, guys, I got a lot going on in my life. And I got a lot of music to write, and I have Orb meetings, and I also teach. I teach here in Rome at San Luis College of Music. So anyway, you guys rock. Love to everybody. And we got to do big love, though, right? I mean, that sounds bad, but okay, there's big love. Remember, always be authentic, okay? I think authenticity is the most important thing that we can be, and it's difficult. It's not easy to be authentic. It's actually rather difficult. And finally, like I always say, I think the purpose of life is to find some purpose in life. And I think the meaning of life is to find some meaning in life. So again, I thank you all for coming, and we will see you next week, and the party continues.